Hello everybody and welcome back to another CS LightWork video. Today we're going to be talking about something that I've been sitting on for a really long time. I recorded this video a couple of times, but I think when I was making my points, it was coming off a bit blunt or sort of aggressive, but that's not what I'm trying to do in this video, right? Uh, with any of my videos and everything I put out, my goal is to either sort of influence you guys to maybe open your perspective, to open your mind to things, to try whatever I'm talking about. In this case, it's development using AI tools, right? So forgive me if this comes off in any sort of way. But I really hope that you try to take away all the points in this video and apply it and see where I'm coming from. I'm always open to any discussion anywhere, but without further ado, let's get into the topic of this video, and it's coding with AI, right? I think the discourse around it is completely cooked. A lot of people are on either side of the extremes, right? But I'm specifically here to address the group of people who haven't adopted or started working with AI in their development environment, for whether it be they think it's not useful, or it's going to produce bad code, or it can't solve what I'm looking for, only works on simple projects. I'll address all the sort of the common points against it and why maybe that's not the way to think if further in the video. But my whole point of this video is that you are sacrificing your productivity at a potentially severe level by refusing and neglecting to use AI, right? At a certain point, I think it becomes ignorance, and I know this is a strong word to use. Cutting myself off here, I'm not going to backtrack there. I'm going to stay on ignorance. I think there's a use case for AI in any level of development for sure, more or less, regardless of where you're at in your development and even what stage you're at, right? And it's crazy because you guys might be looking at me, wrong messenger, oh, at a higher level, a higher level. You guys being at that higher level, right? Senior architect, whatever, are the ones who can use it best. And I'm gonna into that later. But essentially, my whole point of this video is please don't let yourself fall behind and be closed-minded to this tool, especially because so many places are adapting this, and it's increasing the standard of speed and production so much that you put yourself at risk for falling behind, like not picking up any new technology. But this one's big. But without further ado, let's get into the meat of the video. And something I want to preface about everything I'm talking about, this is in a sense of productivity, right? So that could be your development in work, product you're trying to push, a startup, anything like that. This is not in the context of learning, right? We could see why it could be harmful if you're learning the fundamentals of development and engineering and coding, and yeah, you just use AI right off the bat, right? Still can be a good tool for learning, but I'm talking about in your writing the code, right? The way I see it is productivity in a production environment is like your ball game, right? So you're a professional athlete. This is where it matters what you produce and why it's important, and why I'm trying to put out this message saying you should adapt it. Your learning, however, that's like your practices, your scrimmages, your drills, everything like that. That's where you don't need to worry about the output in and of itself, but they're puzzle pieces and tools you're going to use when you get to the game, right? So again, this is about productivity and production, not in regards to your learning. But again, good tool for you so you're learning. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so one of the first points I want to bring up is sort of an ironic component that I'm seeing a lot. A lot of the people making the claims, or sort of the claims themselves along the lines of AI is not useful, is at a higher level of development, right? So you'll see a lot of senior, very well, very, very smart developers. Even I've seen at a junior level, at an intern level, even all the way up to higher level problems, right? Where you'll see the take commonly, AI is not going to be useful here because it's a higher, more complex problem, or I'm working on more complex stuff, and it requires more something AI couldn't do, something that like an engineer themselves has to design, has to outline, and has to create, right? Those are the developers and the engineers that are the most equipped to use it, right? Your knowledge is what makes prompting effective. For security, for testing, infrastructure specifics, coding, everything like that, it's your knowledge that makes it more effective, right? Those gaps, those blind spots that you're seeing AI create, if you're aware of them, you can prevent them and still utilize AI to increase your production and increase your speed, right? Saving typing at the bare minimum, but realistically speaking, AI can still review your code, can still assess any vulnerabilities that you specify as well, right? Like something you might look for, you can indicate your cursor or whatever to look for it as well. And when you're making that, the initial developments, all the things, all the issues you're thinking the AI might run into, you can address them, right? Uh, I think AI utility is severely underestimated by the people who haven't actually tried to use it in depth or properly. And those are actually the higher level devs who could probably use it best, right? All right, through the entirety of this video, I really feel the need to reiterate that this is not some sort of attack. I am not some sort of smart guy, but I'm really just trying to open the minds of those who are closed or not open at all to sort of using AI in entirety, or barely using it, or using it in minimal use cases. I'm trying to broaden your horizons and show you there's more to this, right? One thing I want to address is something I call the simple project cope. And what that means is it's the idea that, oh, AI only works on simple projects, small projects, some front end, the UI, you know what I mean? I think that mentality stems from the idea that the way you'd be using AI is to replace development. Maybe not developers, but replace like in entirety. So that would mean uh, the AI will be implementing it off one prompt and then the whole thing at once. So of course it's only going to be able to handle smaller projects, right? Less complex projects. But I think you've lost the battle once you start to think that this is supposed to replace you or a portion of you entirely, right? It's still a tool. It's a power drill. It can move so much faster. It's so much more useful, but you still need to know where to put the screws and what to use it on, right? Now, you also have to understand the way that you would use it to handle smaller projects where you could give it almost autonomy and some specifications that it will do it how you want it is not the same way you would use AI to code something much more complex, right? You would still utilize it, but much more piecewise, right? Good engineering has always been going piece by piece, and the complexity was never always in the code, but it's always the planning, right? A lot of the time. And so once that good planning is in place, there is definitely room for you to use it, right? Especially when you're looking at new implementations, maybe base infrastructures for something. Uh, you can't tell me that you have no room for AI to write the syntax if you have it documented out well and planned well. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's times for you, it might be easier on you to type it out yourself, but don't neglect any opportunity, is what I'm saying, right? While you are manually typing maybe boilerplate code for something complex, someone else will be solving the problems because their boilerplate is already done. That's all I gotta say. Now some specific things I want to talk about is the sort of fake cons. Essentially, a lot of claims you see about bad code and code being produced by AI, and I really want to tackle these ones. So I hope you hear me out on this. Um, a lot of it is bad engineering, and if I could say this at this level, I can't imagine what it is at higher level, right? Um, it is bad engineering. You can't blame Cursor for producing and getting bad code, and you have to review it, and you're the one prompting it, right? It's still your production, right? Um, a lot of times I've seen like even like in memes and like jokes and stuff like that to substantiate substantiated claims talking about AI slop being pushed into production. Code reviews are still a thing. Like nothing has changed, right? It's a tool that you're using, and if you use it incorrectly and produce some bad code, it should be caught right at the review, right? Nothing has changed. That's a process failure, not a tool failure, right? You don't blame the power drill if you start using it in the walls and now there's holes in the walls. Look at what it did. No, that was you, right? You still have to produce yourself in the sense of you are still going to prompt it, and the output that whatever you're using, whatever AI you're using is producing, ideally is your best output. You just use the tool to get there faster and to also have a double checker, right? Because AI can serve as a really, really good code review as well. These tools continue to improve every day. And they can follow guidelines and they have all this stuff and so much context room that you have the opportunity to use it. But like any other tool, it's on you how you do, right? Moving forward, security vulnerabilities. The same security vulnerabilities you have in your mind and the practices you want to follow are the ones you are going to tell it about, like, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Essentially, it's not supposed to be able to create so much code, and you shouldn't be prompting in a way that it's creating code with clear security vulnerabilities. Whatever you have in head, right? Whatever functionality, whatever edge cases, protections you have in head of coding it, you are feeding that to the AI, right? You're just saving yourself the syntax. That's essentially what you're doing at bare minimum. But in a lot of senses, these Claude, Opus specifically, Sonnet, like all these models, they are not like negligent and ignorant to a lot of vulnerabilities, right? These models get better and better every day. So they also give you that second set of eyes too. But my whole point of what I'm trying to say here is that you can't blame the tools for have producing bad code if you're not utilizing it properly. My whole argument here is that it can really increase your productivity such that you're using it properly. All right, now I want to briefly get into some of the real cons that this can provide if you get used to AI development and sort of not actually typing things up yourself as much as you used to and everything like that. The main one I think is dulling your knife. I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. The idea that because you're going to be out of practice of actually coding things up, right? Even if you have the infrastructure done and everything like that, you sort of dull your knife of that a lot of the troubleshooting, right? Say you wrote the code up yourself, you forgot something minor, you'll see the error, you debug it like that sort of skill that you developed, it will dull a bit, right? Just because it's likely the AI is being able to produce it without making that mistake, and on top of that you're not used to actually typing out code anymore, right? But depending on how you view that, right, and how you handle it, it will actually affect you, right? First and foremost, a lot of times you see in growth your career you end up coding less and less, but that's if you take that path. But ignore that. um, this shouldn't be a swap for learning, right? It's like the analogy I said earlier. you still need to put in your practice, put in your scrimmages, your drills, everything like that. You use these where it's applicable to increase productivity, right? You still do your reading, you still do your learnings of technology outside like you would have anyway. Computer science is always a developing industry and you always have to learn new tech, so you're still doing that. But when it's production time, when it's game time, that's when it's very useful to use these tools, right? You don't want to use these when you're learning your fundamentals, learning something new, or you're just trying to get the hang of things, right? But that's not something you would do in production. That's the point, right? That's not learning time. Obviously, there's a lot of learning that's done in that, but you get sort of what I'm trying to say in terms of you don't want it to do something you don't know what's happening, right? You're still in control of this tool. The problem arises when you become out of control of the tool, right? And that leads me to sort of a brief couple of points I want to make because this could be a separate video of how to make sure you're using it effectively, right? Most of these coding tools, Cursor, whatever model you're using, Claude Code, yeah, Copilot in your VS Code, right? Bar, I have some reservations about Copilot. It's going to be taking in your prompts, right? And so you need to make sure that you're articulating yourself correctly, breaking it up into tasks that the AI can do, right? And that comes with practice, right? That comes with using it and understanding how it works, what it can and can't do without explanation and with explanation, giving it the context, referring to the proper files, setting rules, even simple things like making sure you're telling it you'll follow solid principles, look at existing code structure, maybe the format you want it specifically, because there are always multiple ways to approach some problems, but you want to make sure it takes the approach you want, right? You need to make sure you are in control. And guys, this is not to say that AI can do everything you're doing or can do everything in general, right? It's to say that you don't do everything that it can't, right? So everything that you do in a developer, it's very, very unlikely that there's not a sliver in there that AI can help you out with, right? And that's going to range scale from different project to different people. But that's why it's really important to please do not neglect these tools. Again, it would almost be ridiculous from a productivity standpoint to completely not use it or to not try them out and try to implement it within your work. Again, these tools can't do everything, but you use it where you can and reuse it where it makes sense, right? And as these tools improve, you will improve the usages. And even when you think about where they were a couple months ago, a year ago, it has improved so much that even the issues that you are seeing could be completely wiped out. We don't know. But conclusively, guys, I think that as long as from this video you guys took away a bit, feel a bit lighter on, hey, maybe I'll try out this tool, maybe I'll code with this or something like that. That's all I wanted. At the end of the day, you're in control. You always were. This is just another tool that you can use that can ramp up your productivity, right? Like in so many things we see advancements. This is just another one. Um, all I can say is this is the tool and this is where it's headed. So much of the industry is headed towards AI too, right? Don't allow yourself to fall behind. Don't be ignorant. Start vibe coding today. Um, in all seriousness, I use the word ignorant a lot in this video, and I can already see the LinkedIn comments of this video talking about this is why junior devs need to keep their mouth shut. Guys, love. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take care. Peace. That was so. Why did I? What?